Hello, everyone. Welcome to X-Raced, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. I'm your host, Miles, and as always, it's a privilege to have you tuning in to this episode with a change maker who's reshaping the way businesses work today and, more importantly, tomorrow. Our guest doesn't really need much introduction here in our podcast because he's been part of so many fascinating chats with us already, but I'm gonna have one still. He's someone who has dedicated more than 4 decades to helping organizations across industries unlock excellence, embed sustainability, and elevate the competence and capability of their people. He's the managing director and CEO of ACI Global and e-Quip, an ISO certified international educational learning services provider, and one of the most passionate advocates I know for driving corporate responsibility and sustainability through accelerating continuous improvement, or ACI. It's always a pleasure to host this episode with Ian Erskine. Hi, Ian. Welcome again.
Welcome again, Miles, and welcome to all our lovely viewers. And yes, your introduction is very, very pertinent for today's episode because, as you know, and as our listeners would know, and I've been fielding lots and lots of questions about this very target, this very issue. And as I said, we've done a significant amount of research, a lot of work on how AI ultimately will fit in.
Mhm.
And we've now basically got it now ready where we've been not forced, but we've been put in a position where we have had to change the image of our website so it's far more user friendly. And
Mhm.
yes, so this is going to be a wonderful episode, and I'm extremely excited about it.
Yes,
And
me as well.
yes, looking forward to it.
Yes. First, it's always a treat having you here. Thank you again, Ian, for joining me today. And this episode, as you've said, is something that feels both exciting and, let's be honest, a little daunting for many. So, artificial intelligence, it's been reshaping industries and its influence is being felt everywhere. It's also even prompted changes to your website and the way ACI Global presents total quality management, or TQM, which is a huge shift. So, can you walk us through why these updates were necessary and what they signal about the shift AI is driving in quality management?
Yes, certainly can. And this stems, I guess, from what I started to, what I introduced a few seconds ago, where I indicated that we'd done significant testing on both our websites, and the feedback that we had received and continue to receive, I might add, was that Urko, this is not you. We want to be able to contact and talk to you or a real
Uh-huh.
person if we can't find something on your website. So that prompted me to look at our website and say, right, okay, so how do we do that? So basically, I've done it in a way so that the moment someone clicks on our and goes to our website, there's a welcoming message from myself, and that then leads into where we demonstrate that we have a global dial. So people at any time of the day, 24 hours a day, Monday to Friday, they can contact a real person because it's a globally hooked up dial, goes
Mm.
from Australia to Perth, across to New Zealand, and then across to the UK, then the USA, then back to New Zealand, and then back to Australia.
Uh,
So 24 hours a day, Monday to Friday, people can pick up the phone and speak to someone.
yes.
Now, we've done that specifically. Obviously, yes, we want to grow our business, but we want to maintain that people's focus with everything we do. Okay, so we don't want people when they get caught on our website and they can't find something, they start to become frustrated, and then they might say, "Oh, blow this, I'm going to go somewhere else." What we wish them really to do is just pick up the phone or click on that link and make a phone call.
Yeah.
And so what we then basically have now done, we've introduced our social license where
Mhm.
we outline the processes that we are putting in place to protect people. Now, one of those most important things that are covered within our social license is that people, you and I, must have an insight and an oversight in everything that AI or automated decision or machine learning, whatever you call it, is trying to be thrust upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting. And I'm just going to introduce it at the very start, and I'll get you to remind me when we close.
Uh-huh.
Next week, we'll be actually talking about cognitive learning, thinking.
Yeah.
And that's all about you and I actively thinking, reviewing, acting, moving forward on whatever we see, whatever we learn. So it's putting the emphasis back on people to do the thinking
Mm-hmm.
rather than allow AI. And again, this has come from my experience talking to a lot of organisations is, oh, we're putting that over to AI. Whereas I go back and just the simple process saying that, hang on, guys, over the last 5, 10 years, we have collectively been reviewing, for argument's sake, your risk assessments, right? Now you're telling me you're going to get a machine to double check that, review it, and actually change it. And I go back to them, and actually they're now being prompted to come back immediately to me and say, wow, yes, I can see where that's wrong, because that's a third party or a machine or an automated decision-making process stepping into the process that we should be thinking ourselves, hence the insight and oversight that we must have in everything we do, including the introduction of AI.
Yeah.
And going back to where I welcome them onto the website, I then provide an overview of our social license, and then just a few sentences basically of inspiration for them all, right? And then we've also now added a frequently asked questions section where people quite often ask me, why can we trust you over other certification and
Mm-hmm.
now automated learning processes, for argument's sake? And I simply say all our facilitators and mentors collectively have probably 100 years of experience,
Mm-hmm.
which we can give back to people to take them on that learning process.
Yeah.
And I've also got, it always touches me. I've got a little closing remark when I talk about get people to go, when they finish, don't forget to make use of their $86,400.
Yes.
As you
Totally
know,
get.
yes, seconds in a day. And quite often I have people come back and say, okay, that really put a smile on my face.
Mm-hmm.
And again, my sentiments in reference to people having a smile and be able to transfer that smile to a person they're speaking to, because that gives enthusiasm, encouragement,
Yeah.
friendliness, openness, and transparency,
Mm-hmm.
of which it's sad to say, but so much what's happening in life today and around the world is quite troubling. I just want people to keep up that smile, transferring that smile to each other, and making use of those 86,400 seconds in a day.
Mm-hmm. You always vibrate positivity, and that's really wonderful, Ian. Also, it's rare, very rare nowadays, to actually be able to talk to a real person from a company addressing your audience's concerns or queries. I mean, it's really a great feature, and I think a lot of businesses underestimate just how big that cultural shift can be. So, Ian, when organizations think about AI, they often picture automation and efficiency, but you've tied it directly to TQM principles. How do you see AI reshaping the way businesses approach quality, not just in systems and processes, but in culture and mindset as well?
Yeah, well, as I said, this is a very interesting one, because I've come across quite a few just quite recently. As you know, we're heading off on an overseas holiday
Uh-huh.
uh, late this week, and the organisations that I've had to involve myself in getting the planning and everything done, um, has opened up this area where it's quite obvious where organisations are allowing AI to step in and look at a process, amend, and oddly enough, the belief is it's being improved, but it's not actually being improved because one of the really big airlines which we're dealing with, they've obviously allowed their process to be overridden by AI to the
Mhm.
point where if you want to make a phone call to this airline, you actually have to put in a 6-digit code. Now, when it happened to me, I thought, maybe I've just forgot something here. So I had to go back through the emails, and I went back onto the website, and there was absolutely nowhere where it told you about a 6-digit code to put in when you actually got through on the phone to them. So eventually I managed to send them an email and said, look, I'm having problems and so forth. And sorry, but you'll have to wait 7 days. And this, I think, was on Friday. And I said, oh, goodness me. And anyway, I'll have a chance to go and visit them in person while I'm here in Sydney. But anyway, they came back within less than 24 hours, apologised and said, wow, sorry, you've just picked up a major issue with our process. No, you don't have to have a 6-digit code to ring anyone in our airline. And again, they actually said, we have a problem at the moment integrating our systems with AI and so forth. And this is happening all the time now. And
Mm.
this is why I mentioned you have to have a total quality management focus. So you have to have quality management systems in place to start with, because AI will not work by itself. AI is not a process. AI is a tool supposedly to improve that process, but in actual fact, it's not there to improve the process, because the only way you improve processes is from cognitive thinking, which
Mm.
is our own thought processes, the ability to actively think through a process. And I liken it a bit to sometimes, and I know this happens to everyone, sometimes you can't get to sleep at night because your mind is thinking through issues you had previously,
Mm.
issues that possibly you might want to be addressing in the next morning, right? That is an active process that should actually be encouraged, because that's your mind working out for you which way you should be going.
Yeah.
Hence, we talk about TQM, and like I said, we will be spending, or Marcus will be actually spending a significant amount of time in next week's episode talking about cognitive thinking
Mm.
and the important role that that should be playing, but we've tended to put that off to one side. And in actual fact, this has been happening for many years in reference to the software which we embrace and we put into our systems to so-called help us along the way. But the
Mhm.
problem that we've picked up, that it's creating a bigger problem because it's stopping this cognitive thinking, this thinking of ourselves to sort through issues. Whereas all of a sudden, oh, no, I'm too busy to sort that issue. I'll allow AI to do it, or I'll allow the software to do it. We have to stop this. We have to go back and allow our own brains, our own intelligence, because our human intelligence is the most powerful tool, and it is more powerful than any software that can ever be developed. And
Mhm.
if we have this, what's the word, intuition, if we have this feeling and drive, we will never be replaced by robots. But if we just casually sit back, it's sad to feel, but it is happening today.
Mhm.
Thousands are losing their job and going to machines. We have to reverse that and say, hang on, we are more clever than a software or more clever than any machine. It is our world. We have to take control of it.
Hmm. And I always believe that we shouldn't let AI to work alone. It has to be treated as a tool, as you said, to boost the capability of a person, not to actually replace anyone. And of course, TQM should be in place, and because there's a lot of tasks, such as decision making, that AI can't and shouldn't do, right?
Yes, no, totally agree. And I think that, like I said, is becoming quite evident. Like I said, at another organisation that I'm dealing with, they've now raised two major, and it's their words. They've taken it as a complaint in reference where I've gone back and said, look, there's obviously a hole somewhere in your process, right? Now, it doesn't take much to realise that they're using AI, because when you open up their website, that maddening chatbot pops up, and they've come back and said, we've now got two complaints raised on your behalf. They've been in touch with me personally over the last 48 hours and profusely apologised and said, yes, we have introduced AI, but we are having a problem introducing that into our processes. Now, they want to have a more lengthy discussion with me, but the quick discussion that we have had is, and they've now picked it up, is that they've allowed the AI tool to come in and alter that process. And now they understand that because that AI is a machine and could be, the algorithm could be developed anywhere around the world, it doesn't fully understand the local practical instances and how that local process is meant to work. So hence that is failing. That's the problem that is now rearing its head. And again, this is where we have to go back,
Yeah.
relying on our own intelligence.
Right. And building up on that, Ian, one of the things ACI Global has always emphasized, of course, is the human element, competence, skills, and capability. With AI entering the equation, how do you ensure technology complements people rather than overshadows them in the journey toward excellence?
Yeah, well, see, again, this comes back to the people side of things, where we have to ensure that uh, and again, this is our human process where some respects we tend to become lazy. Okay. So we have to step in and say, no, I don't need an AI tool. I don't need, and it can be a case where you don't need anyone else to actually sort it out for you. And, I think the Chinese and Japanese taught us this many years ago in reference to meditation. And it's interesting, when I had my chat with my local GP, when he signed off on my health card because I'm 75.
Mhm.
And, he said, Ian, how are you feeling? And I said, well, look, just, to be honest, just at the moment, I'm feeling a little bit stressed. And yes, I am a little bit stressed in reference to the impact AI is not only having on other businesses, the impact it's having on our business, right? And as I said, we lost a major client. Now,
Yeah.
that's got us to thinking and how we need to put things in place, get back to people focused and understanding people are the most important asset. And so I'm now employing that, we have to be able to look at this and come back to the point where insight and oversight has to remain in our box, under our control. That's basically what it is. We have to have that insight, that oversight, and again, adding into that cognitive thinking. So we've got to be able to think these issues out ourselves.
Yeah. And that balance is very important because at the end of the day, no matter how smart the tech is or the AI is, it's people who bring judgment, creativity, and ethics into the picture. And I think a lot of listeners right now can relate to that tension. And adapting the AI or adapting to AI can feel daunting for so many industries. From your perspective, what practical steps can organizations take to integrate AI into their quality frameworks without losing sight of standards, accountability, and sustainability?
Yeah, in some respects, this is becoming an intriguing issue, particularly for myself, as you
Right.
know.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a certified third-party lead auditor. I have something like 45 years of experience in the industry. And I've tended to always go back and not fall back on it, but go back and have a look at the ISO standards, the regulatory framework, and things like that. But quite clearly, at this very present stage, that's behind the eight ball. What is actually happening is now we have government stepping in and putting roadblocks in place.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that's not what we want, because that's basically an attempt to halt our freedom of information and things like that, which must not happen. So what we've been forced to do with ACI Global, I guess it was speeded up because we had our triennial certification come up. We've now passed that, and we've now added the information security standard to it, right? But what we've been able to manage to do within that certification process is to make some significant suggested changes, but these are the changes that ACI Global will run with in reference to the security controls which need to be in place if an organisation is to implement the AI standard. Now, the first one, as we've been talking about with this episode, is the importance of having an established TQM framework in place, right? So that's number one. But the other thing that we have to actually look at is people must now be able to say, stop, think, consider how they're going to implement or integrate it within their existing systems, right? And that's the process where they step back, they reassess their internal and external issues. Now, if they do this to the extent they look at and they say, okay, what runs AI? Algorithms basically run AI. Okay, so who's in control of that AI? There are people in control of that AI. So you have to ensure that those people are capable. You have to ensure that those people are under supervision or ongoing revision, right? Number three, you have to ensure that on an ongoing basis there's a review, an oversight, if you so think, but a review of the processes of how they've put that and continue to put the algorithms and review the algorithms as they move forward. Now, that control of who's in control, are they competent, are they capable, and is there an overview process and a review process in place? That has to come back to the control of the organisation wanting to put that in place. It can't be left to the big platforms, can't be left to the I will say it, the high and powerful people in control of these processes. It has to come back to the control of the organisation and the people within that organisation.
Yeah.
And this is where that if we do this, we can then ultimately control our own destiny. We can control our own time when we're going to retire and hand over our business or our job to someone else, right? Because if we don't, our livelihoods are going to be threatened, and that's not good for anyone.
Right. And that's really helpful, Ian, because it's very easy to get caught up in the hype or the fear of AI. But as you've said, having a structured way to bring it into existing frameworks makes it feel much more achievable, not just depending on the algorithms alone. So beyond all this, Ian, how do you see AI transforming the future of TQM and ACI Global's role in helping organizations and professionals stay not just compliant, but competitive as well and responsible in this new era?
This is quite an interesting one because a very close friend of mine, we were having a chat about this, and I made the statement that, there's no way that we're going to touch it. We know no way we're going to use it and so forth. And she came back to me and she said, Erko, you're actually involved in it already. You're looking at putting changes. You're looking at getting people to think how this is going to, at the end, assist them in their process. At the end, how it's going to, as I said just a second ago, puts us in a position where we can basically able to hand over our jobs to a fellow person coming in, right? Or our siblings, right? And it's a way of protecting our livelihoods. So basically, quickly, what we've done is we've added those specific additional controls into the information security standard so that companies that are being audited against it can quite comfortably be certified. So we've added those additional controls, and we will provide a link after this, when this is released, a link at the bottom of the briefing notes directly to the SOC security operational controls. So people will be able to go and have a look to see how we've done that. That's the first step. The second step, again, we will give them a link to integrating AI in reference to the context of the organisation, where we will simply demonstrate these are the mandatory requirements you have to have at the very beginning before you take the second step to actually implement it into your systems. That will all be there for people to view when the video is released, podcast is released.
Yes, right. Thank you, Ian. And honestly, it's a good reminder that AI shouldn't be actually treated as if it's a person. It's not something that will replace the value that people bring into the organization. So it's just about amplifying it, but we shouldn't rely on it. We have to make sure that we're ready for the next stage of business evolution, but making sure that TQM is in place. What really stood out to me is how ACI Global is making sure people remain at the center of this transformation.
Yes, and it goes back to what we've been saying for many, many weeks now. People matter. People are our most important asset. And as I said, it has taken us, as I said, it's well over a year and a half now since we've removed the chatbot and AI from our website. So this has been going for well over 2 years. Finally, and I guess in some respects, I can now sleep a little bit more easy at night, because I'm not going to sleep at night saying, my God, I'm just throwing it off to one side. But then, being a training provider and wanting to demonstrate that we want to look after people and educate people, I was sort of, in some respects, my brain was telling me, and the good Lord was telling me, Urko, you can't walk away. You have to be up in front. And that's why, and that makes me feel very proud and very excited on behalf of everyone that works within ACI Global, and all our learners and all our sponsoring organisations and people like that. This is now going to become a very exciting journey, because we are going to put the machine to work for us, not the other way around.
And I agree, without people, even the smartest AI would just be code on a screen.
Yes.
So, Ian, thank you so much once again for sharing your wisdom and perspective. Do you have anything to tell our audience about our next episode?
Yes, our next episode will be cognitive thinking and taking a step process, how that actually works, how that will all come together, and again, how that niches with appraisals. Because again, going back to our previous episode, when we talking one-on-one in reference to our appraisals, what I like to be one of the questions I always ask to a person when I'm doing their appraisal is, what is the exciting thing that you're looking to develop, not only on your behalf, but what exciting thing can you bring to our organisation? And that gets them always thinking all the time, and it refers to our acronym, ACI, Accelerating Continuous Improvement.
Yes, exciting times ahead. Thank you, Ian. So, for those of you tuning in, if you'd like to explore ACI Global's programs or know how they're integrating AI into TQM and professional development, head over to their website at aciglobal.com.au. And that's a wrap for this episode of X-Rays. Well, Ian and I will see you in our next one. Thank you guys for joining us, whether you're curious about AI, quality management, or just hearing, or you just like hearing how the future of business is unfolding one standard at a time. Don't forget to check out our other episodes featuring Ian, of course. Until then, remember, in a world of AI, never underestimate the power of genuine human intelligence. Thank you. This has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X-Raced.
Yes, thanks, Miles. And just
Thank you, Ian.
reminding you that Marcus will be the one doing next week's episode.
Yes, because you'll be in the UK.
And he just walked in just at the moment.
Hi. Hi,
All
Marcus.
right.
Thank you, Ian.